This is BBC Newsline. I'm Tara Mills. Tonight's headlines. This former teacher is found guilty of indecently assaulting 5 girls at a school in South Belfast in the 1970s. A Facebook post by the Communities Minister during riots last year breached the Ministerial code and heightened tensions, according to an investigation. Some question his position.
At a certain point, you have to have a degree of honour and take some responsibility. It's with regret that we say that Gordon Lyons should resign his position.
A former Muckamore patient suffered ill treatment in another facility after being moved there, campaigners say.
No offence, I don't trust any of you.
Spoiler alert, it's all down to chance for Newry's Rachel Duffy after last night's cliffhanger. Can she make it to tonight's final? She's got the backing of her hometown.
Very nervous. I woke up this morning, first thing I did was light a candle, said my prayers.
We'll hear from Ulster Rugby head coach Richie Murphy, who's just signed a contract extension for 2 more years, along with his backroom team.
And it's been a changeable day with spells of blustery rain this afternoon, but is it going to be a similar picture over the weekend? I'll be back with your full forecast at the end of the programme.
Hello and welcome to Friday's programme. We start tonight with a story you may find distressing. This former teacher has been told he's likely to be sent to prison for sexually assaulting 5 young women in the 1970s. William Lloyd Lavery from Lisburn taught history at Richmond Lodge School in South Belfast. Our reporter Michael Fitzpatrick was in court.
William Lloyd Lavery was a history teacher at Richmond Lodge School in South Belfast in the 1970s. The 77-year-old was on trial at Belfast Crown Court after 6 former pupils made accusations against him. All the charges relate to a period spanning from August 1975 to July 1979. The jury of 6 men and 6 women deliberated for around 4.5 hours before returning unanimously guilty verdicts on 6 counts of indecent assault. Despite claiming he was the victim of a vendetta and that the complainants had colluded against him on social media, Lloyd Lavery was found to have sexually abused 5 pupils. He will now be placed on the sex offenders register with the length of time determined at sentencing. The jury also returned unanimous not guilty verdicts on a further 2 charges of indecent assault, while the judge directed them to find Lloyd Lavery not guilty of 1 count of indecent assault on an evidential basis. 2 counts of gross indecency were withdrawn from the jury on a point of law earlier in the trial. The former pupils gave evidence during the trial and recalled how they were targeted by Lloyd Lavery. One woman, who's now in her 60s, said she felt she was hunted like prey through her own school by a teacher for his own sexual gratification. The jury heard she was lifted up and sexually assaulted by Lloyd Lavery in a stationery cupboard after telling her he needed help looking for a history book. Another victim recalled how the former teacher brought her to a storeroom where he asked her about the bubonic plague before touching her armpit and breast and then rubbing her groin over her skirt. The judge told Lloyd Lavery a term of imprisonment was likely, and he released the defendant on continuing bail and told him to return to court for sentencing on the 6th of March. Michael Fitzpatrick, BBC Newsline at Belfast Crown Court.
Stormont's Standards Commissioner has found that the Communities Minister breached the Ministerial code over social media comments made during riots last June. The report said the actions of the DUP's Gordon Lyons fell short of what's expected on leadership, accountability and community relations. The DUP isn't accepting that, saying it relies too much on speculation. The SDLP opposition leader Matthew O'Toole has called on Mr Lyons to resign. This report from Gareth Gordon.
The burning of Lorne Leisure Centre was a defining image of the violence in County Antrim, linked to tensions over immigration, and caught up in the fallout, the DUP Communities Minister Gordon Lyons, because of a Facebook post. In it, he said he had been made aware a number of families moved due to violence in Ballymena had been temporarily moved to the centre. It led to division in the Stormont executive.
He has failed to show the correct leadership and I think that his commentary falls very short and very much strays into the territory of inflaming situations, so I think that he should consider his position.
At the time, the Minister said he had done nothing wrong.
I do not think that executive relationships need to break down because I put out a statement of clarification saying that although there are going to be protests because you think that there are people that are being housed there that aren't there, I don't think providing that clarification should really cause any danger to the executive or to executive relations.
But following complaints from 64 members of the public, Stormont Standards Commissioner launched an investigation. In her report, she says that when she interviewed Mr. Lyons, he said the intention of his message on Facebook was to clarify the situation and help calm tensions surrounding the planned protest. But she found that the post likely had the opposite effect. Rather than diffusing the situation, it may have heightened tensions and contributed to further unrest. The Commissioner went on to say that ministers are senior figures whose words carry significant weight, and that it was clear to most readers of his message that it included no expression of empathy for those who had been harmed or forced to flee their homes. A DUP spokesman said that Gordon Lyons was fully entitled to publish the social media post that he did. He said conclusions should be based on evidence. However, much of this report is speculative and conjecture, adding that his post was appropriate, factual and aimed at de-escalation of a difficult situation.
Changing the rules won't change a culture. We need to create a different type of political culture in Northern Ireland where people understand that they take office, and with office comes responsibility. Gordon Lyons has breached the Ministerial Code on multiple occasions now. He's been found to have breached the Ministerial Code. At a certain point, you have to have a degree of honour and take some responsibility. It's with regret that we say that Gordon Lyons should resign his position.
Any questions of sanctions for breaching the Ministerial Code is a matter for the Stormont Assembly, where this case is expected to be considered soon. Garth Gordon, BBC Newsline.
A vulnerable patient who was resettled from Muckamore Abbey Hospital was subjected to ill treatment in another facility within the past few months. That's according to the campaign group Action for Muckamore. They say the true circumstances of the case only came to light after CCTV material was reviewed at the unidentified site. They say this led to 12 staff members being fired and one person prosecuted. Cormac Campbell reports.
The public inquiry into abuse at Muckamore is due to deliver its final report and recommendations in March. But the campaign group, who speak for people whose relatives were patients there, say one former patient had recently been subjected to further ill treatment at a new facility.
This person was able to speak, told the parents, been ill treated. The parents then raised it with the facility. When they played the footage, it verified everything they said, and it shocked everybody. 12 were sacked, and police prosecuted one.
The BBC understands that following an assault at the facility, one person was later convicted of common assault. The matter was discussed at yesterday's Health Committee.
That example you've given us just to end your evidence has been particularly harrowing, and it is very disconcerting to hear that, particularly given the experience of Muckamore.
That committee had been discussing a proposed new law to protect vulnerable adults. At yesterday's hearing, the campaign group said the legislation provided a chance to make significant changes.
Families are not believed when they raise concerns. Of course, families, the majority of them, I'm sure, are out to protect their loved ones. And why we come against this treatment and false allegations made against families, because we're seen as troublesome, is unacceptable.
In a statement, the Department of Health said there were currently 7 patients remaining in Muckamore and expects 3 of those to leave this month. It said plans were being finalised to find suitable accommodation for the remaining 4 patients. In terms of yesterday's revelations, the department said it cannot comment on individual cases. Cormac Campbell, BBC Newsline.
A judge has adjourned a hearing in the sex offences case involving Lady Eleanor Donaldson, who's facing trial with her husband Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, the former DUP leader. Newry Crown Court was told her lawyers are awaiting the completion of a medical report. Here's our crime and justice correspondent Julian O'Neill.
Sir Geoffrey Donaldson and his wife Lady Eleanor Donaldson face a combined 23 charges which they deny and which were allegedly committed between 1985 and 2008. Their joint trial has been postponed twice before due to Lady Donaldson's ill health. The couple have not had to attend court for the past 11 months, but since then there have been a succession of pre-trial hearings. This morning, Newry Crown Court told that a medical report being prepared on Lady Donaldson for her legal team is not yet complete, but is imminent. Judge Paul Ramsey agreed to adjourn the hearing until next Friday. No new date has been fixed for their trial, and the judge said it was important to receive the report so the court could plan its next steps. Julian O'Neill, BBC Newsline, Newry.
An Ulster Unionist MLA who lost his legs in an explosion while serving in Afghanistan has written to the White House following Donald Trump's claims that NATO troops avoided the front line. Former soldier Andy Allen was 19 when he was injured by a bomb while on patrol in Afghanistan in 2008.
Obviously, it has a personal meaning to not only myself, but many others. And like anything, there are differing views and perspectives, but overwhelmingly, the majority of views and perspectives that I'm hearing from those who served in Afghanistan, and indeed the general public who had a knowledge and understanding of what we were doing to some extent in Afghanistan, is that they find these comments deeply disrespectful and insulting and absolutely not based in fact.
A 14-year-old child was among 300 people arrested during the PSNI's Christmas crackdown on drink and drug driving. Figures released today show that the oldest person arrested during that period was 82. Police say they arrested an average of 9 people per day during the campaign. The highest reading was almost 5 times the legal limit. Police also detected nearly 5,700 speeding offences. The funeral of former Sinn Féin MP Mickey Brady took place in Newry this afternoon. Former political colleagues, friends and family were among the mourners who lined the street as the cortege made its way to the Dominican church. Mr Brady was a welfare rights advisor who served as MP for Newry and Armagh for almost a decade. He was also a former member of the Northern Ireland Assembly. Now, some schools have had to cancel vital small classes to help young children with social and emotional needs due to a lack of funding. The nurture classes can improve GCSE grades later in life and pupils' emotional and social skills. Our education correspondent Robbie Meredith has more.
P1 in Clandyboy Primary in Bangor were busy learning about shapes this morning. But some young children need a bit of extra help and support when they start school. And that's where the nurture class came in.
Nurture provision provides support for about 8 to 10 children at a time, very small, early intervention for children who are having difficulties with social, emotional and perhaps behavioural difficulties in school.
That small group means extra attention from staff, and the benefits can be life-changing. The Department of Education's own research suggests being in a nurture class improves a child's school attendance, learning and emotional well-being. Longer term, their GCSE grades and career prospects also improved.
We have seen a difference in the children's self-esteem, how they treat each other, how they respond to adults and how they approach learning. So it's a whole package.
There's also a wider financial benefit. It's estimated that for every £1 spent on a nurture class, the government saves between £2 and £4 down the line. But for many of the 60 primaries who run nurture classes here, funding has been cut in recent years, so many are struggling to pay for them. Clandyboy are one. They have had to suspend theirs.
Well, everybody who comes into education comes into it to help children. There's so much research and so many programmes and so many beneficial things we can do for children, and it really is generally, it's really heartbreaking for principals and governors to have to make those tough decisions. We would like to be able to provide everything that's supporting our children, but unfortunately we really are tied with the amount of finance that we're giving. It's really not enough to keep schools running at the level they currently are.
At Clandyboy and other schools, when it comes to a class that adds so much, the numbers just don't add up. Robbie Meredith, BBC Newsline.
Now, standing here beside these shimmering ponds at Mount Stewart, it's easy to see why BBC's Winter Watch has fallen in love with this place. But just beyond the programme's teepee, tucked quietly into the landscape, lies something rather unexpected. A ghost pond. Not the spooky kind, but a long-lost waterway that vanished under soil and scrub, only to be brought back to life. And as our correspondent Louise Cullen has discovered, its return has sparked a remarkable revival for nature.
Not all ghosts wear white sheets. This ghost used to be hidden under soil and debris. 2 years ago, this pond didn't exist. Now it looks like it had never gone away.
All of those seed banks from when it used to be a pond for hundreds of years potentially, they're all there in sediments. So all we needed to do is just unearth those sediments again, draw back the soil up onto the landscape around it here, and it fills with water naturally again, of course, and everything just came to life.
Where plants grow, wildlife will follow. And not just any wildlife. Some priority list species that need conservation support have made this pond their home, like the ram's horn snail, the only organism that eats blue-green algae. Restoring this and 6 other ghost ponds so far has been a win all round for nature here.
There are key species that have been missing from the landscape here for decades, are now being recorded here again. We had the emperor dragonfly turn up in this spawn's first year, and that we saw a female laying eggs around the muds around the outside. We've had a new species like the screech beetle turn up. But this goes all the way, even all the regulars that were here, it's halted those national trends of decline. We're kind of sitting stable now.
This is a large-scale project with maximum impact. But there are things you can do at home.
A pond is the #1 thing you can do. Next best thing, some nettles, a small rough patch or anything like that, and making sure that you're not cleaning and tidying everything up in the landscape as well. So overwintering invertebrates need somewhere safe to be through winter, so stick piles, think of it. Don't tidy away all those dead stems from your garden straight away. You'll find things like ladybirds and other beetle species will overwinter in them. Just look closer and you'll see all these things around you, and they're right on your doorstep, and you can help them out.
And who knows, you might even get a Winter Watch wildlife visitor. Louise Cullen, BBC Newsline at Mount Stewart.
Now, spoiler alert, we're talking traders ahead of tonight's final episode. And in Newry, they're settling down for their watch parties to cheer on local favourite Rachel Duffy. As Mark Simpson reports, she still has a chance of winning, but only just.
No offence, I don't trust any of you.
Rachel has been battling to stay in the show, doing her best to hide the fact that she's a traitor.
I am a faithful. I have done nothing but try to be the best faithful I can be.
But last night's show ended with a cliffhanger, a draw to decide who stays and who goes. In true TV entertainment style, we have to wait until tonight to see the outcome. And they'll be watching here in Newry at one of the many watch parties. This one has been organised by Rachel's friend, Kathy.
Very nervous. I woke up this morning, first thing I did was light a candle, said my prayers. She has played a blinder of a game. In fact, we think it's been the Rachel show. She's been the most clever, she's been the most articulate, and I just think it would be a travesty if she goes out now.
We've seen a picture of the two of you together at a wedding. What's she really like?
A great friend. She's your friend for life, and this is just something that we've always known that Rachel has in her. She's just destined for stardom.
At this care home in Newry, they're dressing up for the traitors, and there's huge excitement.
Oh, with Rachel in it, very big. Especially when she comes from this wee area. We all feel like we know her in here.
Many people in the city do know her, including Doreen.
She has everyone sitting on the edge of their seats, and we're so proud of her. She's so composed and so cool, and we just love her to win.
She's got a fight on her hands, but in Newry, they're keeping the faith. Mark Simpson, BBC Newsline.
Come on, Rachel. Time for sport now. And after their European adventures, Ulster Rugby are back to domestic action this weekend. Hi, Stephen.
Tara, they are. Hi, I'm glad you didn't ask me anything about the Traders because I'm ashamed to say I've never seen the programme. I promise I'll start.
You're missing out.
I'll start watching it soon, I promise. Yes, Ulster are away to Wellside, the Scarlets, tomorrow, with the knowledge that their coaching team have all signed up for another 2 years. Head coach Richie Murphy, with Mark Sexton, Willie Falloon and Jimmy Duffy, are now committed through to the summer of 2028. For the match tomorrow in the United Rugby Championship, Jacob Stockdale is out, replaced by Michael Lowry, but Australia international Angus Bell returns. Under Richie Murphy, Ulster have won 6 of 8 league games this campaign to sit third in the table, and after a disappointing season last year, things are definitely looking up. Nicola McCarthy reports.
For Richie Murphy, the timing was right to sign a new deal.
It just feels like now things are settled down and we're starting to build and we're starting to look forward and the plan that we're trying to put in place is starting to take fruition. And I suppose a lot of that groundwork has been done in behind the scenes, and I suppose now over the last number of weeks and probably this season we're starting to see some of the fruits of that out on the pitch, and we're in a really good place.
The resurgence under Murphy and getting Ulster back to basics has had the buy-in of the players.
I think, even from the start of pre-season, we kind of talked about a little bit of our identity and just kind of going back to, what made Ulster kind of successful over the years, and they kind of kept it simple, and we didn't overthink it too much. So I think it just took 1 or 2 performances to kind of get that belief within ourselves and to kind of prove that we can do it and we can play. But people have seen maybe a little bit of consistency, and that's something that we're still trying to chase every day, is just keeping consistency for 80 minutes.
The next 2 games and the rescheduled fixture in the middle of the Six Nations, they're going to be huge for us, and they'll really dictate how the back end of our season will look. They're incredibly important to see how we're going to end up finishing up the table compared to where we were last year. This was a crucial time for us as well, but for slightly different reasons. So we are really excited about these, and this weekend games especially will be huge for us.
Ulster will look to maintain their early season momentum in Wales tomorrow. Nicola McCarthy, BBC Newsline.
Now, Rory McIlroy heads into the weekend at the Dubai Desert Classic, 7 shots behind leader American Patrick Reed. Rory had a better second round today with back-to-back birdies on the 9th and 10th holes, as well as one on the 18th. And that saw the world number 2 move to 2 under overall, tied for 20th place. Rory said afterwards he still believes a comeback win is possible. Tom McKibben is 1 better on 3 under, as is Shane Lowry. And Northern Ireland's 2 drivers competing in the opening round of the World Rally Championship have had differing fortunes. Josh McErlane from Kilrea had a big crash in the snow on stage 2 in Monte Carlo, and that's moved him out of contention. But what about this? John Armstrong from Fermanagh is having a debut to remember. After 9 stages of rallying, he is still lying in an impressive 6th place overall. That's despite suffering a slow puncture and damage on the latest stage in the tricky, wet and icy conditions. Going really well. The Gaelic Games, it's the start of the Allianz National Football League this weekend, and we'll be bringing you 2 live matches on the BBC iPlayer and on the BBC Sport website. On Sunday, it's Monaghan against Armagh in Division 1, while tomorrow Tyrone's Division 2 opener is against Kildare. Former Tyrone manager Fergal Logan has told us that it's unfortunate that some counties who are preparing for provincial championships are looking to avoid the extra fixture a final would bring.
Regrettably, let's be frank, the integrity of the National League competition, football Division 1 National League competition, is somewhat shot. When teams are openly asserting that they don't really want to compete or be competitive and they end up in a final to win the competition. So I do harbour some regrets and disappointment at that, but we're into the lottery of the National League weather here too. Really, is there a window where the provincials are taking up a lot of good weather time in spring, where games could be played in a very competitive league, and people love the league because of the balance of competitiveness across 4 divisions, and then set your stall out for the All-Ireland series thereafter.
Give me your thoughts on the 2 games BBC is doing live. It's Armagh and Monaghan and Clonus on Sunday. But first, your own Tyrone against Kildare in Omagh. How significant those 2 games?
Yeah, the opening day of the league is a big day for everybody, and all managers will want to get points on the board quickly. Tyrone have a massive game in a very competitive Division 2, Mark, really just to set the mood for the year and set the mood with an emerging panel. So that's going to be a very interesting one too. And then Armagh, you know, there's a few injuries and things going on there, but Armagh are always standard bearers, so you expect Armagh and Monaghan to be a very tight affair in Clonus on Sunday afternoon.
Should be, and we have lots of live local football for you as well. Tonight, Coleraine face Glenavon in the Irish Premiership. Games on the iPlayer with Glentoran against Cliftonville live on BBC 2 television this Sunday afternoon. Tara, let's hope the weather plays ball.
Well, speaking of weather, lots of surface water in Portadown. Similar picture in lots of places, Ali.
Absolutely, Tara. It's been a really changeable day today. It was quite dry with brighter spells this morning. As you can see here in East Belfast, a little bit of sun shining off the cranes, but not long at all until the rain returned and the wind strengthened this afternoon. You can just see how choppy the water is there in Strangford. Any remaining rain will clear to the north overnight, and there'll be clearer and drier spells for a time. However, cloud and rain will slowly push into southern counties towards the early hours, and it will be very windy overnight with lows of around 5 to 7 degrees. It might be a bit of a damp start for some tomorrow. However, there should be a few drier spells in the afternoon time. Rain will push to the west through the morning time, and there'll be drier and a few sunny spells in the afternoon, but not long until the rain returns and becomes quite widespread. There'll be gusts of up to 40 miles per hour along the east coast at times, but temperatures will be sitting around 7 to 8 degrees. As for tomorrow night, an area of low pressure really will start to nudge in across Northern Ireland, so winds will strengthen even further and there will be heavy and widespread rain. There'll be overnight lows of around 5 to 7 degrees. As for Sunday, that area of low pressure will start to clear to the north, so it'll be very unsettled through the morning. It'll be quite damp and blustery with plenty of rain around. But through the afternoon time, winds will ease and there'll be a few brighter spells. It should be generally quite drier. Temperatures, though, right across Ireland, sitting around 7 to 8 degrees, which is around average for the time of year. That is set to change next week as cooler air funnels in from the northeast Europe. So that means temperatures will drop to around 4 to 6 degrees in the UK and Ireland, which is below average for the time of year. Tara, back to you.
Ali, thank you very much. Before we go this evening, a reminder of the podcast that we're bringing you each day from the Noah Donohoe inquest. By using your phone's camera to scan the QR code on your screen now, you can follow each day's hearing. For a special series of the State of Us podcast, we'll be in court, and every evening we'll have a dedicated episode stepping you through the day's evidence. It will be the most detailed coverage of the inquest, and you can subscribe on BBC Sounds or on the BBC News NI YouTube channel, so you'll be alerted when a new episode arrives. That's all from us tonight. Have a very good weekend if you can. Bye-bye.